Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. In today we're going to go ahead and review the Death Knight, and I'm going to try and keep this as short as possible because shortly Death Knight is not worth your summons. Whether you're a spender or free-to-play player, I would not suggest spending on the Death Knight because she has been released as a not finished hero. That's just my view on her, and because half of her skills don't actually work. So at 7 stars, she basically grants the hero in position 5 immunity to that, which is not true. The hero in the position number 5 will die regardless if the Death Knight is alive. So that, first of all, is a lie. At 6 stars, she's basically as useless as any other hero can be. You can basically be better off using a Cloto or a Bale or even Brutus instead of a 6-star Death Knight, the 50% chance to taunt, and on top of that, taunt is the most useless CC effect in this game ever released. It's really terrible, especially for a hero that basically wants to survive. She's getting the taunt effect to basically die faster. It's against its own logic, in my opinion. So her 6 stars is absolutely useless. Her 7 stars passive is not working as correctly, at least from my test. I didn't do a lot of tests, I did just few, but in those few that I saw, most of the times, if not all of the times, the hero in position 5 died regardless of that knight being alive or not. Another thing to note that is when this gets to 9 stars, so as before it was on position 5 and then it went to same row allies, I thought it basically coded to go from position 5 to position 3, but it's actually the same row allies that the Death Knight is put in. So instead of being like Death Knight frontline and then having 3 undying heroes in the backline, you actually have to put Death Knight in the back row. Because if you don't, then giving Soul Link to the position 1 ally is pretty useless in its own. So you pretty much are forced to give that knight a position number 4 position, to give position number 3 and position number 5 allies an immortality effect. And this, while this effect actually works at 9 stars and it's solid, it's not really good because that knight herself dies too fast. Even with the seasonal stats, she's just too squishy and is really dying fast. She can't be really slotted in any other teams because currently the meta is mostly dominated by the mono synergy, so she really likes the 8 Valiantors, but the 8 Valiantors do lose out to Ethereals or Avengers or Phantom Avengers and sometimes even the Mystifers, and let's not even talk about the Dooms. So the Valiantor synergy itself at 7 to 8 synergy is really weak compared to the other heroes. It has weakness such as CC immunity, it can't be really it's really hard to play it without CC immunity. You can kind of make up for it with the gate, but nobody has a gate, and the gate itself is not reliably working either on top of that. So yeah, overall the Death Knight is not working, and I wanted to talk about her ult force. So while Soul Link is active, Death Knight and the linked heroes gain one additional ultimate cast each round, up to maximum 2. This is also fake, this is not working even in PvE or PvP. I have tried it multiple times. I will try it and show it right here that it's not working. And even this passive in PvP and GVG modes, that knight immediately revives. This works, and she will trigger her ultimate. Yes, it's true, but it's not really effective. So for this to be actually good, I believe it does require to be 12 stars. At 10 stars, it becomes 2 times per battle. At 12 stars, it becomes 3 times per battle, which is a bit more reliable. And the ultimate stacks also casts rises up the limit, but as I said, it's not working, so it's pretty useless in my opinion. The only good part is her Soul Link, which itself is pretty big because that knight will just simply die, and so will your entire front line, or rather the back line, because even if they all take damage at the same time, the Death Knight will not prevent them from dying. They will both die at the same time. So let me now go ahead and show you that the passive is not working at all, and we will go and load up the battle. This is the team I tried it. So Gaia has naturally 2 actions because of her legendary runes, and Lancelot does have only 1 action. In theory, that knight should give both of them an additional action per round, So if we assume that it doesn't work on the first round, then it should work on the second or other turn, because we have Lucifer. So the ultimate gets cast the first round. As you can see, first off goes Buzetian because she's the fastest, then it will be Lucifer, and then we will have Gaia casting her ultimate once from her natural ult kits, and then her ultimate twice from her legendary runes, and then the Death Knight goes. So the Death Knight did not increase the ultimate rounds cast from the Gaia nor the Lancelot, as you have seen, despite them both having the Soul Link passive applied. It's at the bottom, or it's not. In PvP it used to be at the bottom, so it's at the top here. So while that knight is live linked, allies cannot die. So they both had the Link Soul Link passive applied, and they both didn't increase the ultimate number cast. Neither will the basic hit increase. So yeah, it's round 3, so in this case it should be applied if it doesn't get applied in the first round, but you will see it does not get applied in here. So Gaia does her 2 actions, and then we move on to the Death Knight, which also doesn't increase her own ultimate cast, as you can see. So the whole passive is pretty much just useless, and it's not working at all. So yeah, pretty terrible hero to be released. Oh yeah, I have been testing her in the Palace of Penrose to see the actions, and she did not increase the actions in here either, so pretty terrible hero. Looks like I didn't test her at 7 stars unfortunately, so I don't have the recording of her allies dying despite being in the Soul Link passive, but I do have a screenshot for it, so I will share that instead. But as I said, the Soul Link passive is really hard to trigger, and at 7 stars it's basically not even working. At 9 stars it's really hard to make work. You can kind of try and make it work with the Ra, because Ra does work nicely with her, but even then, if we do that, we kind of struggle anyway. So I have been trying this team with the 4 Phantoms, 4 Mystifars. So basically this is the team. You can kind of remove Elmer because apparently they don't stack, but yeah, I'm meant to do this. As I said, I was thinking that she will at 9 stars increase the row from 5 to 3, but instead it's the same row as her, so I was using her in the front line, which was a bit of a mistake. So yeah, let me see which other Phantom I can use in this place. There's definitely, yeah, Minotaur for example, should be good. We don't have the 2 Celestials, but it shouldn't matter in this case anyway. I will probably lose irrelevant of that. Let me actually put on some Mystifier relics that I want to use. And I will also use this relic because I don't have Lucifer for the ultimate cast. So we're going to try ahead and burst this team number 1 from enemy, which does have Hela and this 8 Ethereal. So this is what I meant by the DK struggles against mono synergies, and you will see that despite having the Soul Link, the heroes will still die from just one Arcane Darbella ultimate that will pretty much kill everyone in here. That's just unfortunately how it goes in this case. And Soul Link, where is it? Soul Link is applied. So yeah, both of my heroes have the Soul Link. It's at the bottom in the PvP. I'm not entirely sure why though. So yeah, another thing I wanted to try her with is the Gaia's immortality effect. So as we know it, when Gaia reaches 50 crore stacks, as you can see, the heroes are still dying despite the Soul Link being active. So I'm not even sure why though. So it's not that it's kept on 1 HP, but yeah, luckily the DK keeps on missing. But as you can see, there's nothing that we can do pretty much against this. And unfortunately, we will just simply lose as most of the time. So we did get in the invincibility passive, which is the reason why that knight is pretty much alive. As I was mentioning, when we reach 50 crore stacks, Gaia will give invincibility to that knight. That knight can die, which means the entire front or rather back row can die, which is a nice combo with the Gaia herself. So pretty nice combo, but Scepter perhaps removes it. I'm not sure though. We will see that. So let's see if Scepter removes it. It doesn't remove it, so that knight is still invincible because of Gaia, and that's a really nice combo for the round 1 sustain. But as you can see, any kind of CC will be an issue, whether this is Valianters, whether it's Phantom Mystifars, this will be issue forever pretty much with this team. and with that Knight herself. And we just simply lose. There's not much to do about that. So let me try give you example of the Valiantors as well. So let's see, and make Valiantors team with Ra, but again it will just simply lose. But I really do like her in the Phantom Mystifors. I think that's her naturally good team. She would also be good with the Avengers in the, let's see, let me try to fit in Yingzheng. And that's 2-2, that's basically all I need in this team. And so it's just basic rounds, so basically hitting basic attacks. So my team got stunned from the Hela, because I did hit her a lot of times. So now it's the ultimate casting rounds, and let's see what happens. My hero is not dead yet, but yeah, as you have seen, the Amaterasu just one-shots DK, which basically one-shots the entire row, which is the issue, as I said. So her soul link protection doesn't really protect her that much from the death, because if she dies, then so will the entire back row, which is most often going to be the case. It's very rare where the damage is not big enough to kill everyone in that same row. So yeah, she is a really good hero with highest potential in this season, in my opinion. We know that Hera is going to be the most broken hero, but I was really excited for the Death Knight, even though she's kind of turned to trash right now, in my opinion. She shouldn't be released this half-coded, like they should just bother fixing her up. And even in PvP, when she revives, she doesn't really do her ultimate damage, which is her old force, and she should be doing that, but the additional instant revival into additional ultimate is not happening from her. This is where she should be casting her ultimate, but she is not doing that anyway. So yeah, this will result in another loss, because nothing can really hurt 8 Ethereals if we are not playing the Mono synergies ourselves. It's getting kind of close just because of how strong Magatama and Avengers are, but nonetheless it won't be enough to beat them. So what are my final standings on the Death Knight? I believe that she was one of the coolest looking heroes, both visually and in skills, but her entire old force is just not functioning. Her soul link is not reliable and is not really something you can rely on while forming a team. And her additional taunt is absolutely useless skill, so she's mostly released as a synergy filler hero that can fit in phantoms, and with her additional UI can be an additional Magatama perk. But apart from that, I'm not really impressed, and I'm quite disappointed with her. So overall, my thoughts are that Loki is currently better, and we know that Hera is going to be the best PvP wise speaking hero. So if you're looking for PvP, you should definitely summon on Hera. If you're looking to get one of the seasonal heroes, you should get Loki. Loki is better, but if you're in your close to the PT, like me for example, my suggestion is going to be get Babylon. Babylon is absolutely broken in both PvP and PvE. Like in PvP, she does have counters, so she's playable around, but she really does bring the Dooms to another level, or Monarchs in general. And in PvE, especially in the Rift Odyssey, she's quite the menace, even to the terms of perhaps replacing Arcane Darbella or Pandora more likely. So yeah, overall best hero in the current oath is, in my opinion, Babylon, followed by, for the PvP, Venus, and then Loki. Actually, Primordial Arcdina is here, but she's also in the Oracle shop, so spending on her kind of makes no sense in here. Not even sure why she's here if she's in the Oracle shop, but whatever. So yeah, Eve is a good hero, but unfortunately Mystifiers are not that good to be able. They're quite expensive, that's the issue. They're a very, very expensive team that gets good, but is too expensive to work on. Whereas you could just get a Venus 8 and be happy with your cheap Ethereals that pretty much can beat any team in the game. Same goes for Loki, can fit many and any team in general, and Babylon is just the best hero overall in here, both for PvP and the Rift Odyssey levels. So thank you for watching, and see you guys in the next one.